Today, we're going to play detective. We're diving into a fascinating piece of ancient history by looking at 3 short, personal letters. Our mission? To uncover the real-world crisis they were written to solve. You'll see, it's an incredible story of division, of leadership, and a really brilliant strategic response.
So our story kicks off right in the thick of it with this one dramatic line. You can just feel the tension, right? A community has literally just been ripped apart. A whole group of people has just up and left, creating this massive split. And we're not just talking about a minor disagreement here. This is a full-blown schism, and the fallout is threatening to bring the whole thing down.
Okay, so let's put on our historical detective hats. The big question we need to crack is, what on earth could cause such a tight-knit community to just shatter like this? The letters are our main pieces of evidence, so let's start digging through them for clues. First things first, in any investigation, right? We need to identify the person at the center of this storm, the leader who's writing these letters, trying desperately to hold his community together. So, who was he? And, what gave him the right to step in?
Well, for almost 2,000 years, pretty much everyone agreed on the author, John the Apostle, one of Jesus' absolute closest followers. Now sure, in the last couple of centuries, some scholars have raised questions, but the overwhelming historical view, which is backed up by clues inside the letters themselves, points straight to John. So for our investigation, he's our guy.
And just who was this John? I mean, he wasn't some stuffy administrator writing from an ivory tower. This was a man who was an eyewitness to Jesus' entire ministry, part of the inner circle. In fact, he and his brother James had this nickname, the Sons of Thunder. That kind of tells you everything you need to know, right? These were passionate, fiery guys. This was not a man who was going to sit back and watch his community crumble. He was a major leader, and he was ready to jump into action.
All right, let's move on to the next clue. To really get what's going on, we have to know when and where this all went down. This whole drama didn't happen in a vacuum. It played out against the backdrop of the massive and often chaotic Roman Empire.
So the timeline here is absolutely key. We're talking about the late 1st century. After the fall of Jerusalem, a lot of people had to flee, and John ends up setting up a new ministry hub in Ephesus, which was a huge, bustling Roman capital. From this really influential home base, he's overseeing a whole network of churches, and it's right in the middle of this network that the crisis explodes.
So, we've got our lead investigator, John. We've got our setting, late 1st century Ephesus. Now we get to the heart of the mystery. What was this fight actually about? What caused this huge split? The letters are really clear about this. It was a schism, and that is a powerful word. It's not just a friendly disagreement. It's a formal split, a deep, painful division. An entire faction had physically packed up and walked out, leaving John to deal with the people who are left behind, feeling totally confused and hurt.
So, what could possibly cause a break that dramatic? Well, the evidence seems to point to a few things. It could have been about clashing beliefs, or social pressure from the culture around them. Or, and this is where it gets personal, maybe it was a power struggle, a direct challenge to John's authority from some ambitious local leader.
And this is where the story gets really brilliant. We get to see John's response. See, he didn't just fire off one angry letter. No, he executed this incredibly careful 3-part strategy. These 3 letters, they're not really separate documents. They're basically a single unified crisis management kit.
Check out how this plan worked. First, there's a private cover letter, that's 3 John, that goes to a trusted friend named Gaius, giving him specific instructions. Next, a short public memo, that's 2 John, is sent to Gaius's church to prep them for what's coming. And then finally, the main event, the first letter, 1 John. It's this powerful message designed to be passed around to all the churches to get everyone back on the same page and correct the bad info that's been spreading. It was an absolute masterclass in ancient communication.
And just to make this even clearer, let's look at the cast of characters. You've got John, he's our protagonist, trying to fix this mess. He's relying on his trusted ally Gaius to be his man on the ground. And then, of course, every good story needs an antagonist, right? Enter Diotrephes. He's mentioned in the 3rd letter as this power-hungry local guy who's actively working against John and his message. So yeah, this wasn't just some dry theological debate. This was a real human drama.
So now, let's zoom out a bit, because this crisis, it wasn't an isolated incident. It was really a symptom of a much larger problem brewing within that main church in Ephesus, a problem John actually talks about directly in another one of his writings, the book of Revelation. So in Revelation, the church at Ephesus basically gets a report card.
On one side, they get an A+ for their hard work and for sticking to the right beliefs. They are really good at spotting and rejecting false teachers, which is exactly what John is telling them to do in his letters. But then comes the sharp criticism. They had lost the love they had at the very beginning. And that right there, that is the central tension of this whole story. This community was fantastic at being correct. They were experts at defending the truth. But somewhere in the process of fighting off bad ideas and dealing with all this internal drama, they were losing the one thing that was supposed to be the absolute center of their community: love.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? I mean, John's letters aren't just some dusty historical artifacts. They're a perfect case study in a struggle that is absolutely timeless. That challenge of balancing what you believe with genuine compassion for others.
And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This crisis from over 1900 years ago points to a question that every community, every organization, maybe even every family still has to wrestle with today. How do you hold on tight to what you believe is true without losing the love that makes that community worth being a part of in the first place? It's the ultimate balancing act.